Hey everyone, so this is something I need to talk about real quick because a friend of mine that is very close to me sent me a certain picture this morning, and it was things against the social distancing laws and stuff, and I I need to talk about it because they're just ridiculous. I I respect my friend and all, but what's going on right now is just really ridiculous. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is this part of it that says, stop calling it quarantine. Quarantine is for the sick. This is house arrest. No, it's not. The quarantine is for the sick. It's for the people who are sick and are not. We're under quarantine to prevent the spread because it spreads very easily, it's very contagious, and they're trying to keep people safe. It is not house arrest because that's just that's a really dumb thing to compare it to. Especially because we're allowed to at least leave to get like food and stuff. People on house arrest aren't allowed to leave at all. This is to protect people, not. Anyway, the next point was stop calling it social distancing. There is nothing social about forced isolation. That's kind of the point. That is exactly what social distancing means. That is literally the exact definition of that phrase. And I don't understand what's so hard to get about that. It's really simple. And then we have the only relatively good point out of this. It says stop calling it safer at home because of people who are dealing with mental health struggles and things like that. Home isn't very safe for them. Now, while that is true, it's not. I don't think that this quarantine is doing that much different, or it's it's not changing it that much because some people are underage and they can't exactly get out of the house or go anywhere, and it does suck, but like what you can do is be there for them, and not use people with bad mental health as an excuse to lift quarantine. And finally, the most ridiculous of these points is comparing the quarantine because we are in a pandemic trying to prevent more people getting sick and it spreading, is comparing us to Nazi Germany. Where does that conclusion come from? How is this anything like that? The awful things that they did. And this is to keep a dangerous virus from spreading. And how could you just, it baffles me how people can just make that comparison. And secondly, along this, not every business is essential. Right now, we have, where I live, we have Crazy Bernie protesting to have his furniture store stay open. If you have somewhere to live, you have furniture. Buying furniture is not an essential workplace to keep open. GameStop is not an essential workplace to keep open. A fitness center isn't really an essential place to keep open. So I don't see why people are losing their minds. And people keep saying that they keep prolonging the quarantine. Yeah, because people don't stay inside. Instead, they go out there and protest and say it's unconstitutional and all this other crap. And there's people going out there like, oh, they're lying to us. 5G towers are giving off radiation poisoning, and that's what the coronavirus really is. And it's people need to chill out. That it wouldn't be prolonged so long if people would just stay at home and stop getting contagious. They literally made a system to start opening businesses, but they can't do that because people won't stay at home. And people want to go out there and protest about things they don't know what they're talking about. I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I know at least that it's constitutional, it's not Nazi Germany, and not every business is essential in a time like this. And the last point on this thing is to stop saying it's the new normal, because nothing is normal about this, which probably is the most sensical thing out of that thing. It's it's not normal, and we're trying to get through it, but people keep preventing us because they keep making ridiculous points like the one that I've brought up now. And I'm not the only one who sees that too, but people in quarantine have to keep staying in quarantine because other people won't. They would rather fight back and be like, "Oh, I can deal with it," than just listen for a little while. It doesn't make any sense. And the same friend who sent me this also made a relatively good point about what about the children, and they'll be suffering because their parents can't work and put food on the table, which is a good point. But what about those kids who their parents get sick, and those kids don't have any parents, and they don't have any way at all, even when this is all over, to do that. They'll be orphaned or live on the streets, and you just gotta think about that. And they say, I don't care if I die, I want to uh I care about the youth. Then stay at home. If you go out and get sick and get home, the people in your house can get sick too. So stay at home. It's it is for our own good, and not because we're Nazi Germany, but because we don't want people getting sick. We want the virus to go away. So people need to have common sense. And some people are getting really depressed and all this about the quarantine, people with bad mental health. So be there for them rather than using them as an excuse to lift the quarantine, and help them be entertained. Entertain yourselves. You can do it. We do it plenty of times when we're not working, when we have free time. So if you're bored, find something to do that isn't going out and protesting against policies that are trying to keep us from getting sick. It doesn't make any sense. See I don't see the leap of logic in that. But that was my rant. Thanks for listening. Also, one more thing: if you are poor and not working, and all you have is the stimulus and whatever's left of what you earned at work, then spend it on things you need, like food. And people out of work are like, "Oh, I have no money." Well, they got checks, but they probably spent it on things they don't need, and now they're broke and starving and can't pay the bills. And I don't know the full story with the stimulus. I think maybe there was some scandal or something, or the government's out of money, but like, that's why you need to spend it on things you need. You can't be like, "Oh, it'll be fine," and then do it. Just wait until it's over. Be patient. Don't go spending money on all kinds of things you can't afford. And yeah, that's all. So, yeah.